Okay, so the Eagles just got their first win of the season in a thriller versus the Packers in Brazil, and Saquon Barkley took over as he had a phenomenal performance in his Eagles debut, and he proved that he truly does take the Eagles offense to the next level. Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts had a few big mistakes with some turnovers, but he was also able to respond in a big way, and Nick Sirianni made it clear that he's not at all worried about Jalen moving forward. Also, several guys had big performances for the Birds in the opener, including a few promising defensive players, and perhaps the biggest star of them all was Zack Baun, as it seems like the Eagles may have surprisingly found a hidden gem in the new starting linebacker. So let's talk about that and everything else from the Week 1 win starting right now. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And man, I don't think we could have got a more exciting game to open the season for the Birds. I mean, it had a little bit of everything, including explosive plays and big performances, not to mention that it came down to the wire. Now, heading into the game, there were some big storylines to pay attention to, with one of them obviously being that this was the NFL's first ever Brazil game, and I'd say it was probably an overall success. I mean, I, like Nick Sirianni, thought the atmosphere in Brazil was great, despite there being probably a lot more Packers fans than Eagles, and also, I will say this, the field was absolutely terrible, because guys were slipping and sliding everywhere from the second the game started, but if they can get that fixed, I think it'd be great to have more games in Brazil, although I can't say I would want to see the Eagles back there anytime soon. But moving on, another big storyline heading into the game was the situation at cornerback, as the Birds presumed starting outside corner Isaiah Rodgers was ruled out of the game with a hand injury on Thursday, so the rookie Quinyon Mitchell saw what was probably a slightly adjusted role from what he would have had if Rodgers was out there, as he started and played pretty much exclusively on the outside. And on the first drive of the game, Mitchell had a great play, as on a fast start for Mitchell, who honestly was really impressive given that the guy is a rookie, but he certainly didn't look like it for most of the game. And he finished off with a nice stat line, getting the third most tackles on the team with 5, and also having 2 pass breakups. So overall, it was certainly a great start for the rookie, and it's definitely going to be exciting to watch him throughout his rookie season and also to see what kind of role he has moving forward, whether he stays on the outside or he goes back inside at times. Now, after that Packers punt, it was our first chance to get a look at this new look, high-powered Eagles offense, but things didn't start out very well, as after a couple rough plays, the Eagles found themselves in a 3rd and long from their own 5-yard line, but instead of being safe and then just punting the ball, Jalen Hurts decided to try to throw deep to DeVonta Smith down the seam, but it was just not a good decision, as the coverage was good and the safety Xavier McKinney read it all the way and got the interception, setting the Packers up in great field position. Luckily, the Eagles defense stood strong, and along with some help of a Packers holding penalty, they got a stop in the red zone and forced Green Bay to a field goal. And the very same thing happened again, as the Eagles had some more miscues on their next drive, with Cam Jurgens snapping the ball to Jalen Hurts when he wasn't even ready, leading to a fumble and another Packers takeaway. So safe to say that the Hurts and Jurgens connection is still a little bit of a work in progress to start the year, which we kind of thought it would be, but as I was saying, the defense bailed the offense out again, despite the Packers starting at the Eagles' 14-yard line, as the Birds forced the Packers to another field goal after they made a few nice plays, and then Jordan Love missed Christian Watson in the back of the end zone. So, on one hand, it was about as bad a start to a season as the offense could have had, while for the defense, it was kind of the exact opposite, as they were great to start out. And after the game, Nick Sirianni talked about the offense's slow start, while he also praised the defense for keeping the Birds in the ballgame.
Games don't always start the way you want them to. Like they get paid too, and they're good. And that's a good football man. That's a good football team. But I really thought the slow start. Slow start was offensively. Defensive played their ass off to start that game. To play as bad as we did offensively, and to be down 6-0 to start the game is pretty awesome. And hats off to the defense. And we have some things. Don't get me wrong. We got things to clean up on both sides of the football, but we could have got down 2 scores right away, but the defense really did a good job of playing good red zone defense.
Nick is absolutely right, as that game could have gotten out of hand quick with the way the offense started that game and with the Packers getting unbelievable field position off of those turnovers, but the defense did a phenomenal job standing tall and keeping the Packers out of the end zone, so that was definitely promising from the defense. And I think something that was pretty evident early on is that this defense has an element of toughness to it. I mean, it just looks so different from last year with how the guys were flying to the ball and laying big hits and looking more proactive than reactive. And this, of course, was on display throughout the game, and we're going to continue to talk about it as this video goes on. But I did just want to take a moment to point out that at least so far through one game, the defense looks a lot more tough and physical than it was last season, so that's definitely a great sign. And it was also great to see how the Eagles offense responded on the very next drive, as Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and the guys found their rhythm, and they went on a nice 11-play, 5-minute drive that ended in those previously mentioned guys connecting for a touchdown, as Jalen Hurts threw an absolute dime over 2 defenders to Saquon Barkley on a wheel route for the touchdown on a really well-designed play from Kellen Moore. And not only was this Barkley's first touchdown as an Eagle, but this score also made Saquon the first player ever to score a TD in Brazil, so that was pretty cool, and this was also just an amazing play and an amazing catch for a running back to make. But DeVonta Smith says they expect that out of him.
It was great, man. You know, we expect that out of him. It was amazing.
Again, it was just so awesome to see Barkley get in the end zone for the first time as an Eagle, and it was also so cool to see the Eagles offense just bounce back from those early turnovers, which is something that Jalen Hurts talked about after the game.
Just keep the main thing, keep pressing on. I think how we responded as a team, we all experienced some adversity, but we all dug deep and kept pressing forward. You know, it's all things that you can control, and we continue to find our rhythm as a football team. But it's always good to be able to figure it out with a win. And so good to start the season off in the win column.
I think it definitely tells you something about this team, just the way that they responded to adversity, with the defense picking up the offense early and then how the offense eventually got things on track and took the lead earlier in the second quarter. Unfortunately though, the Packers offense got on track right after this, as they had a response of their own in the form of a Jaden Reed 33-yard touchdown run on an end around where he flew through the Eagles defense to retake the lead for the Packers. Fortunately though, the Packers went for 2 after an Eagles penalty on the extra point, and Milton Williams flew into the backfield along with Nakobe Dean to stuff Josh Jacobs and keep him out. And then after this, the Eagles offense went to work as they put together a nice drive in which A.J. Brown caught a pass in front of Jaire Alexander and then made a miss and converted to 3rd and 8, and then DeVonta Smith had a big 25-yard gain on a great throw from Jalen Hurts down the sideline on what I think was a really nice play design from Kellen Moore to create some open space. And then a couple plays later, Saquon Barkley took a handoff straight up the middle and ran it in for an 11-yard score for his second touchdown of the day and giving the Eagles the lead right back. And then on the Packers' next possession, it looked like the Eagles' defense was about to get them off the field very quickly. In fact, they almost scored some points themselves, with Nakobe Dean nearly getting a pick 6 as he had a great read on a throw into the flat, which was one of multiple great plays Dean made during this game. But just a couple plays later, on a 3rd and 10, Jordan Love was flushed out of the pocket, but he stepped up and threw an absolute strike to Jaden Reed, who was wide open, and then he made safety CJ Gardner-Johnson miss and ran it in for a long 70-yard touchdown. And the breakdown after this play shows that CJ was just kind of late getting over there and was in the wrong spot, causing Reed to be as open as he was, and then he of course missed the tackle, leading to the touchdown to give the Packers the 19-14 lead. Now I say this hoping CJ doesn't come after me for the criticism, which he did for some fans on IG Live on the team plane after the game.
You know how hard it is to make a tackle out the field on 100-mile-per-hour? Now every fan that want to say something, I want y'all to come to practice. I'm going to have A.J. Brown do exactly what bro did, and how y'all had come downhill. Fans say I suck, but if I suck, Jeffrey Lowry and High Road would have fired me at mid-half quarter. You saw the game. I love my Philly fan.
Now first off, I want to make it clear that I know I could not make that tackle, just for the record, and personally, I honestly think CJ played a pretty good game and was flying around to the ball and making some good tackles, and I love the energy I saw from him out there, but he did make a couple big mistakes on this one play, which led to an explosive play for the Packers offense, so he certainly has to learn from it. But that being said, this play was pretty uncharacteristic for CJ in all honesty, and I'm not worried about him at all moving forward. Now after this, the Eagles got the ball and were able to go out and get a field goal to end the first half, pulling the score to 19-17. And then on top of that, they also got the ball to start the second half, and they didn't waste much time putting more points on the board. But before we get to that, I want to ask that if you are enjoying this video, then please subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any more Eagles coverage just like this coming throughout this entire season. I do consistent uploads almost daily on this channel, and trust me, you guys are not going to want to miss it. So again, subscribe and turn on notifications. And now with that being said, let's get back into the video. But as I was saying, the Birds didn't waste much time at all putting up points in the second half, as on just the second play of the third quarter, Jalen Hurts dropped back and dropped a dime to A.J. Brown over the shoulder, who would beat Jaire Alexander on a double move. And A.J. then did the rest as he took it 67 yards for the score, giving the Eagles an explosive play of their own and giving them back the lead with a score of 24-19. And overall, it was just a great throw from Jalen and an amazing play for A.J., who had a really good game numbers-wise as he finished with over 100 yards. The annoying thing is that the Packers just had to respond again, as despite a near turnover on a fumble from Josh Jacobs where Darius Slay did a great job punching the ball out, the Packers went on another great drive that was capped off with a Jordan Love touchdown pass to Christian Watson, who would beat Avonte Maddox over the middle. So just like that, Green Bay had the lead back at 26-24, and unfortunately, the Eagles didn't respond on the next drive as Hurts was sacked and they had to punt. But they got the ball right back after a huge Nakobe Dean hit broke up a Packers pass on third down, which, by the way, huge shout out to Nakobe Dean, who, in my opinion, played really well in this game, aside from a couple plays in pass coverage, and I can definitely see why he earned that starting job, and I think he deserves to keep it moving forward. Now, unfortunately, the Birds went 3 and out again, so the Packers got the ball back, but this is where the Eagles' defense created an opportunity for the offense, as the third-year safety Reed Blankenship, who I think isn't talked about enough, jumped a Jordan Love pass to Luke Musgrave and got an interception and set the Birds up in great field position, and they capitalized as Saquon Barkley plowed into the end zone from the 2-yard line just a few plays later to give the Eagles back the 31-26 lead after the extra point. And it was also Barkley's third touchdown of the day, giving him a hat trick in his Eagles debut and making him just the second Eagle ever to have 3 touchdowns in his debut, with the other being Terrell Owens. So overall, just what a day it was for Saquon Barkley, and I think now that we've seen it, it's fair to say that the Eagles adding Barkley to this offense is super unfair for the rest of the league, because he's just so unstoppable and he opens things up even more for the Eagles offense. And DeVonta Smith actually said that same thing after the game.
He opens up a lot. He gets a lot of teams out of the too high stuff because you have to come down in the box and kind of have to account for him. So it helps a lot, but it helps even more when the passing game and run game is working real well.
It's honestly just crazy how much scarier Barkley makes this Eagles offense. I mean, think about it. They already feature so many dangerous weapons to begin with, and Smitty's right. Barkley does open things up for them even more, and just when he gets the ball in his hands, he's a threat to make a big play, and even without the ball in his hands, he's dangerous, as we saw in that first touchdown when he was able to run a great route and catch the ball for the score. So again, after watching this, I think it's safe to say that Barkley has proved that he can take this Eagles offense to the next level, and I'm just so excited to continue watching him throughout the rest of this season. Now, after the Barkley touchdown, the defense got the ball right back to the offense with a little help from a missed Packers field goal, and the Eagles had a chance to really pull ahead in this game, and it looked like they were going to, as they got all the way down into the red zone, but on the 3rd and 13, Jalen Hurts made his second really poor decision of the game as he ran to his right before throwing back across his body into the end zone to A.J. Brown, and Jaire Alexander stepped right in front of it and picked him off. So it certainly isn't the best thing in the world for Hurts to start out the season with 2 picks, and this one was especially costly as it cost the Eagles points, and despite the Eagles having another clutch stop in the red zone with Moro Ojomo pressuring Love and forcing an inaccurate pass, the Packers still got points on this drive in the form of a field goal, closing their deficit to just 2 points at 31-29. But this is where Jalen Hurts and the offense responded again, as QB1 shook off the bad play and started to lead what I would say was the Birds' best drive of the game, as they got the ball with 7:25 left in the game, and this is where the Eagles really wanted to milk some time off the clock while moving the football, and that is exactly what they did. As whether it was Hurts making big plays with his legs and fighting through contact for the first down, or it was Jalen making big throws to DeVonta Smith to pick up first downs, it's safe to say that QB1 was doing it all and coming up clutch on this last drive. And with a nice first down throw to Smitty over the middle, Hurts and the Eagles offense had a chance to pretty much salt the game away and put it away completely, and while they couldn't quite get it in for the touchdown and they instead had to settle for a field goal, which brought the lead to 34-29, this was still a clutch drive from Hurts and a great response to that interception. And after the game, Nick Sirianni talked about this final drive, and he praised Jalen Hurts for how he was able to respond to the turnovers.
We couldn't have played a worse first quarter than we did. Offensively, defensively did a great job of stepping up, but we couldn't have played a worse first quarter than we did. And then we came back down the field. He hit Saquon with an unbelievable throw, and so there, he's going to want some plays back, obviously. But I thought, Jalen started it as far as the dog mentality of playing through and handling the adversity. Again, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect by any means. We can help him out with some play calls here and there as well. But I thought he responded good. Like that 4-minute drive that we had, that drive started with what, eight some minutes left to go in the game, and we gave him the ball back with 27 seconds. Why? Because Jalen and DeVonta connected on some huge plays. That's tough football. 4-minute football is tough football. And our guys really responded, and to give them back, and then they were positioned to throw a Hail Mary at the end of the game, but our guys really responded. That 4-minute football, when things haven't been going great, I thought he did some really good things and some clutch moments. Yeah, so I thought there's going to be plays he wants back, but he had some really good moments as well.
I think Nick has the exact right analysis in that while Jalen surely has some plays that he's going to want to have back, overall, he played a really, really good football game, and that last drive to respond just the way he did after the turnover and even earlier in the game, the way he responded to the turnovers in the first quarter, it was all just incredible. Now, does Jalen have to clean up the turnovers? Yes, because I thought those 2 picks were really, really both poor decisions, and there were some other throws that could have actually been picks as well, but the rest of the game, in my opinion, he looked like one of the clear-cut best quarterbacks in the world, and I trust he'll get those mistakes cleaned up as the season goes on, as this was just the first game after all. Now, the Packers offense got the ball back with just 22 seconds left to go, and they had a big first play to get some good yards, but unfortunately for them, Jordan Love got rolled up on by Jalen Carter and was in a lot of pain, so he had to exit for the last 2 plays. So prayers up for Jordan Love. I'm really hoping that he winds up being okay. But getting to the end of the game, it was Malik Willis who came in for the final 2 plays, and on the last would-be Hail Mary attempt, Eagles linebacker Zack Baun ended the Packers' chances and the game by getting a sack on Willis. And this sack was really the cherry on top for Baun, who had just an unreal game, as he easily led the team in tackles with 15, and he also had 2 sacks and was just all over the field the entire game. I mean, this guy showed up and proved why he earned the starting linebacker job, because I'll admit, I've been asking all offseason why Vic Fangio likes Zack Baun so much, but now I see why, as the guy balled out in this game, and he brought an element of toughness and physicality that you just love to see. And look, I know it's early, but it seems like Baun could potentially wind up being a hidden gem found by the Eagles this offseason, and obviously, again, it's early, and we're going to have to wait to see how he performs the rest of the season to make a final determination on that, but it was certainly a very promising start from the linebacker. And yeah, Baun's second sack ended the game with the Eagles winning by a score of 34-29, which was very close to my final prediction, which was 31-27, and it brought the Eagles to 1-0 on the season. And overall, I just really like what I saw. Sure, there were some things to clean up, but in my opinion, the team feels different from last season. I think the offense looked great, and the mistakes they made are more than correctable. And then on defense, they looked much more physical and stout than they did at any point last year to me. So I'm just so fired up about this team. But you guys can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What did you think of the Eagles' Week 1 win over the Packers? And also, while you're at it, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so again, you don't miss any other Eagles coverage just like this coming throughout the entire season. And also leave a like down below just to show some support on this video if you did enjoy it. It really does help me out a ton. Let's see if we can hit 1,000 likes on this video today. And also, if you want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this one out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this video, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.